It's setting it up now. Okay, looks like we're there. Okay, so we're live on YouTube, so I'm going to start the recording, John, then we're ready to go. Okay.
Okay, we're all set, Dave?
Yep, ready when you are.
Okay, thank you, everyone. I call the September Guam Board of Accountancy meeting to order. Present are board members, Sean Phillips, Francis Baba, Taling Taitono, Jenny Chu, and myself. And we have Executive Director Dave Sanford also in the meeting, in the call. First item on the agenda, we will first just confirm, Dave, that this meeting was properly advertised.
Noticed, yep.
Noticed,
Yeah,
okay.
We've got both notices here, copies of both notices.
And the requirement is 1 week before the meeting, and then
7 days and then 48 hours, I think.
okay.
Yeah.
So September 22nd. Okay, good. So meeting has been properly noticed.
Yep, we're good.
So the next item is the minutes to last month's meeting, which was in August.
Yep.
Please take some time to review or read if you have not done so, and we can entertain a motion to approve.
Move to approve, subject to correction.
Thank you, Taling.
Second.
Second by Francis. Thank you, Francis. So last month's meeting minutes are approved. We can move on to old business, Dave. You want to go into that one, the endowment fund update?
Yep. As you can see, the market continues to take a dip. I think it dropped down to 29,000 or something. The Dow did this week, went down to 29.1, and yesterday or today it came back up another 500 points. So it's still on the roller coaster, but we're showing a $945,000 loss in value. Fortunately, that's not a realized loss, it's unrealized. But it's just the vagaries of the market. It's going to keep going up and down until it eventually stabilizes, and we'll come back some, but we're still at 4 million. We were at 4.75, but a good chunk of that, 400,000 was, valuation. So in that sense, overall, if you still look at the last 3 years, we're down 15.6% year to date versus the 211%. So we're not all that bad off from an inception standpoint. We're still ahead of the game in terms of overall earnings, but it'd be nice to see the market go back up.
Yeah, David, that year to date is
the
that
5 million we were at.
Yeah, is that calendar? That's calendar year to date. At
calendar year, yeah, since January.
So we contributed 250 and then lost 757,000. Wow. Okay.
In value, but the fortunate thing is that we're not, we're not in a position where we have to liquidate any of our investments. So we're not forced to take any of these, down value losses just for cash. So that's the only good side of this whole scenario is it's at this point unrealized, and presumably over time, as it always does, the market goes back up. How long that'll take, nobody knows at this point. So, but we're still at 4.25. Well, we were at 4.25, but as of the middle of this month, which is because this is August 31st, we're at 4.0. So we're still at 4 million. So
okay.
So in that sense, we're not that bad off. So this is the rest of the statement. And again, they've only taken the 34,000. These are investment management fees. Still, there's been no deduction or payment out of the fund for the visiting professor expenses yet. So I'm presuming that sooner or later they'll get around to it, but I'm not urging them to speed up. So at this point.
Hey, Dave, when was the last time there was an actual withdrawal for that program?
Well, we've had a cash balance of 60, 70, 80,000 over the last couple of years, and I think about a year and a half ago or 2 years ago, before the right around the beginning of the COVID thing, the I think it was Billy that came out that time, and we probably paid about 30,000 that year for those expenses. Since then, I mean, when the COVID lockdown, everything went to Zoom, and since then we haven't had any real expenses until Ray and Marilyn came just this past January this year. So the only expenses I'm looking at that could be deducted to pay for the program would be probably somewhere between 70, 80,000 for the 5 months that the semester that Ray and Marilyn were here, both teaching. So
is that something that's pending?
Well, it's pending from it's obviously been paid by the university. So I don't know whether they expected to pay some of it out of their tuition, and because they charge tuition for all the classes. So maybe the stipend they paid Ray, I don't know yet. I know that the endowment fund was supposed to be paying like the housing costs and transportation costs, but I don't know that the endowment fund itself has come around to charging that back to this fund, to our fund. I'm not sure what they paid it out of, if they didn't. So, but I know that they paid the rent for their condo, so they had to pay it from somewhere. I'm also not sure how good their accounting is, but eventually they'll tell me that we need to pay them, and when they do, we'll get to audit what they're asking us to pay.
Yeah.
So I kind of wait for them to get around to it.
So Dave, we haven't, I guess there's nothing has been taken out for Ray and Marilyn's visit?
Not out of this fund, not yet, no.
Well, I think it's likely, right, that eventually we'll get a bill.
I'm sure eventually they're going to, I'm sure, but I could go ask them for one, but I'm not necessarily inclined to do that unless you want me to.
No, it's okay.
But I figure eventually they'll get around to it. I'm wondering though if knowing that they charged tuition for all the classes that Ray taught, then maybe they paid some of his stipend out of their tuition fees or whatever. So maybe they just haven't figured it out yet. I don't know. But that's kind of where we are. The only actual realized gains and losses we've had with here, we had a 3,400 short-term loss and a 6,000 long-term loss. So we're looking at what, 10,000. These are actual realized gains and losses. So just from the adjustments they made in the funds. So okay. So over the time period though for the year, we're at a negative 2,000 net realized loss. So
okay.
Anybody have any other questions? We still don't have any plans in terms of what we're going to do with the visiting professor for the next semester or next summer. So John and I are going to meet with the new dean. Fred Schumann was appointed dean for the SBPA. So John and I are going to have lunch with him on Monday and discuss the program and what his insights are and where he thinks he wants to go with it, etc. See if we can get some of our ideas across in that regard.
Okay,
No other questions?
no questions. So hopefully it
Okay.
improves.
Yeah, I'm waiting. It seems to be bottoming out. I keep reading about how it can get worse, but I don't know. I mean, we haven't been in the 29 territory for quite a while, so
Long time, yeah.
so you know, I don't know. It's anybody's guess at this point. I figure. Okay. So
Okay, so
our
next item.
new licensees, we have 62 of them, and we don't have any issues with any of these. We have one for Guam. I guess, John, she's working for you now.
Yeah, she was in our Saipan office, then she moved to Guam. Okay.
And then we have one substantial equivalency from California. He's got a California license, and he's, I guess, getting a Guam license so he can, you know, work with Baker Tilly. I guess Baker Tilly's out here for something.
Yeah,
I don't know what, but they did get a firm license. So
they do the Bank of Guam audit. They
I
took
was going to
over.
say, are they doing it? Are they the SEC qualified
Yeah.
people, or?
Yeah, it used to be this other firm,
Yeah, the
Squire Milner. Then they were
Squire
purchased,
Miller.
taken
Yeah.
over by Baker Tilly.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I figured it had to be something along those lines. And then we have Sky Hofschneider from Saipan. So
Yeah.
she's with the Ports Authority in the CNMI, I guess. So she's active non-attest. So that's good to see. And
Hey,
then
Dave.
we have a few. Yeah.
Just a question. You know, I noticed the verifying CPA, Laura Humbert. She's a verifier for several here. Is she from NASBA? One of those that are
I'm
verifying?
pretty sure I'm pretty sure she's one of the NASBA people that they've asked to do the verification.
Okay.
NASBA has several people that they use to do that. So they actually call and have personal interviews. They interview the people and, you know, go through all their paperwork, and then also interview them on, I think they have video calls or whatever to interview them to verify what their issues are. So they also track down their contacts for their experience, that kind of stuff.
Okay. Yeah, I just noticed her name on several that all look unrelated. So it's just curious.
Yeah, she seems to be one of the newer ones. There've been 2 or 3 I've seen before, but it's the first time I've seen her, so she must be a newer one. So then we have several reinstatements. Apparently, people are beginning to to look at the ALD and see, oh, I'm delinquent. Oh, I'm, you know, canceled. What happened? You know, I'm like, well, you have to renew. We've sent emails, so we're kind of, you know, motivating people to, you know, reinstate themselves. Reinstatement means that they have to refile all their CPE and everything for, you know, to reactivate. So, but we've had several of them. I think there's 4 or 6 of them. There's 4 or 6 of them this time. Oh yeah, 6 reinstatements. So, of course, that's also probably driven by the fact that some of these people maybe thought they didn't need to before, but the world economy has gotten worse for everybody. So maybe they think they have to go back to work or something. So, you know, that could be part of it too. So, but we have 62 new licensees this month. So,
Move to approve.
okay.
Can I hear a second?
Second,
Okay, thank you. So applications or initial certification licenses are approved.
Okay.
What's the next item?
From there, we go
Extension?
to the extensions. Yeah. I won't go through all the detailed stuff we have here, but they all submitted documentation, and to their credit, a couple of them, the extension was actually recommended by the candidate care people at NASBA because of some of the issues. But this first guy, he had an NTS that expired on 9/16, but he was hospitalized in a car accident and couldn't schedule. So he's asking, and this is one that NASBA recommended also, to extend him until the end of the year. His notice to schedule, and he's in his request, he's saying if you extend me to the end of the year, he's planning on taking the I think there's one more exam he has to pass. So he's planning on doing that by the end of the year. I think he's already scheduled to take it. This guy basically had a credit that expired August 31st. He was the primary caregiver for his mother who died, and he's taking care of his family and had some other issues. So he's asking to extend the credit for his BEC, which he's passed, until December. He's got credit for another section, and then he's planning on, he says in his documentation that he plans on passing the rest of the exam by the end of the year. So I'm okay with giving him the 4 months on the credit for this section. He's either going to make it or not. If he doesn't, then he's going to be out BEC also. We won't give him a second extension. This guy had a credit for FAR that expires on September 30. He was scheduled to take his exam and he's got credit for 2 other parts, so he only needs 1 more part. And he was scheduled to fly to take the exam, and then they delayed his flight, which means he missed his connecting flight, so he actually couldn't get to the test center to take the exam. This was another one. The candidate care people said they recommended extending his credit to give him a chance to finish the exam. And he's already signed up to take it, the last part that he needs before November. So he's only asking for 2 months. And this one here, his credit expired in June 30th. And he and his family got COVID, and he was scheduled to take audit, which is his last part, on September 28th. So I presume he's taking it now or tomorrow or yesterday. And he only wanted the extension through the 30th. So he's planning on passing the exam. So I'm okay with that one also. I don't have any issues with any of these 4.
Okay, I mean, I don't see any issues if you're okay. So,
Yeah, I'm okay with it. We've had a couple of other people, one guy, I was something for 7 months and this and that. I couldn't do this, that, so I need a 7-month extension. I'm like, I don't think so. You have to come up with an excuse and that, and you're not going to get 7 months, no matter what you want. So
7 months.
it has to be something reasonable.
Mhm.
So, and we've had a few of those. We just tell them, thanks, thanks for asking, but no thanks. It's not a viable thing. You always have 1 or 2 in the crowd. But,
I'm just wondering for some of these, if we need to put some of the documentation in the board package, which then becomes public information. I'm just wondering if some of this can be, if the board wants to see the documents, that it can be made available, but I just cringe when I see some of the doctor stuff.
Yeah, I know. I saw it too. So I think I'm gonna make sure we don't put most of that stuff in here anymore. Especially some of the other stuff we've seen, like X-rays and all kinds of stuff. I'm not into that either. So I'm planning on having most of that omitted in the future. You know, so. I don't know what the concern is from most of these countries, or you know, the Middle Eastern countries. So they're not part of the EU issues, but that could always become an issue in the future. So, but we can always send it to anybody in the board who wants to actually see it. But in future, I think we'll leave most of that out. You're right.
Mhm.
Okay. So we'll extend these four. There's no objection. So let's jump down to, I think it goes to page 53 actually.
What's next?
It's the new
Oh, yeah.
the new master's program. So
Yes.
this was an article from PDN, I think. So Martha's the chair of the Master of Accountancy program, and Doreen is there, and then Roseanne Jones is the economics professor, but she's the division chair. I forget what they called her, division something. So, but the
Division head,
program's
I think.
yeah, divisions. Program's designed to be completed within 1 year. Yeah, division head of the School of Business Administration division. So she's replaced the guy who was the person who was in charge when Ray and Marilyn were here. So from what Annette previously told me, she's had conversations with Roseanne, and she's definitely interested in moving our issues forward. So anyway, so they say one of the things they put, I was glad to see, is it allows accounting professionals who plan on seeking Guam licensure and practicing as a CPA to meet the 150 credit hours required. And it is completely online, so you can enroll without having to relocate or pause or anything. It's good for the people who are still working. So just thought we'd throw that in there. I met Daphne somewhere recently, and she was asking about how we were thinking about supporting the master's program. And I have told Martha and Annette both before, the previous dean in the past, that, you know, if it gets to the point where we need to bring on faculty from outside of the university, then we'd be willing to sponsor some of that cost. Since it's on an online basis, it wouldn't be bringing people here, it'd be paying somebody for the stipend for teaching, I guess. So you know, if we needed to do something like that. So, but so they're aware of it, but I haven't had any requests recently. But Tyling, like your email, I know Daphne mentioned something about us supporting the master's program, and I told her that, you know, that's what our intention was, but we haven't had any formal requests to do so in any particular manner.
She told me, or she asked me if we could assist them with helping to pay for the cost of materials for the class. I don't know specifically, you know, what she means by that, but
I think what she meant was that she mentioned to me something about she was going to teach the I think one of the review courses or something.
regulatory accounting,
Yeah,
something
or
like
the
that.
review course or something. And she was asking about, you know, could we subsidize materials like we did before? And I'm not real keen on doing that. We did it before and didn't get much out of it. The people we subsidized to take the review course, and most of them never even took the exam. So, you know, that was not something that got us very far. So we might look at how we could use a voucher program to support their you know, actually taking the master's course, something like that. You know, that would like pay the tuition to the university or something. But not sure we want to be subsidizing materials.
Yeah. Dave, my understanding is that they were looking for professors. I mean, that was the last I spoke. Do you know if they have found all the professors they needed?
I haven't heard from Martha recently, but I got an email and a note from Jason about something about materials, and they were looking at Becker versus I guess Rogers CPA review, some of the other stuff, and what they were going to use, and I guess they hadn't made a decision. But Martha's comment was that some of them are cheaper than others, so I think they're still kind of in that entire process of organizing everything. The last day to apply for the new program is tomorrow, September 30, and I think it's set to start sometime in November. So I guess they're still in progress in terms of getting everything organized. I haven't heard any more from Martha. But I have attended a couple of the AICPA faculty hours, even though I'm not a faculty, but it is kind of interesting to attend and hear all the comments that the educators have to make. But I attended a couple of those relative to new data analytics courses and things like that. And one of them was where these two people from two instructors provided their syllabus for their course, and some PowerPoints on a number of the ways that they introduced the subject matter and how they were actually able to demonstrate some of their examples they use and things like that. So I got all of that and forwarded it to Martha and Jason also. So it might help help them determining what they're going to do with their curriculum for the course. I guess maybe we'll find out more when we talk to Fred if he knows anything. I don't know. We'll see.
But I guess we're we're getting questions from different people. Who's the I guess who should we be listening to? I mean, Daphne's asking. Who else is asking? Martha's asking. Jason is asking. So I think it'll be good if someone, I guess, they coordinate their request and be more clear as to what they're asking.
Yeah, I think that's part of the issue of with Fred being the new dean. I think that's one of the things we need to discuss with him is the initial setup of the endowment fund. The GAEF was there's a standing committee set up to help administer the program, and there hasn't been a meeting of any of the parts of that committee since COVID shut everything down. So it's almost 3 years now. I think that's something we need to discuss with Fred to determine how he wants to move that forward, and if he's going to put somebody in charge of it or he wants to be part of it himself, etc. Because in the past, the only time we had meetings was when Annette actually called one or when I kind of prompted them to have one. So I think it's something he's going to have to get up to speed on. But it was interesting. I did get an email. The email I got an email from Annette, the former dean, introducing Fred as the new dean, and et cetera. She told him about us and the program and the endowment people and who we were all working together. But I'm kind of curious. I'm not sure if well, she retired from being dean, I guess, but she's still got a university email, so I'm not sure if she's still working with UOG or not in some capacity. I'm not sure. Maybe we'll find that out also. So.
Okay.
Anyway, anybody have any other questions about the program? suggestions? Okay.
No.
Okay, the last thing I have is the financial. We actually, this is actually August. It's actual numbers through the end of August. Our meeting's late enough to get the data from CPACE, which I got just the other day. But our application fees are still up over last year and much more so than we anticipated due to the COVID shutdown and all of the quote unquote decrease in pipeline, which is kind of interesting. We still bucked the trend in terms of August, but certification fees are hanging in there. But the licensing fees, the individual licensing fees, this is the renewals, and it's also again a lot higher than I thought it would be. And of course the penalties. So we're at 623. We'll probably wind up somewhere around 660, 670 for the year. And that basically puts us at this point, we're 200 or about 235 to the good, if you discount the contribution here. So we've actually managed to support ourselves and still come out with a couple 100,000 in excess revenues that if we wanted to, we will be able to contribute to the endowment fund if we so desire. So that tells me we've reached a higher enough concentration of licensees with the renewals to maintain the validity of the board in terms of funding and not needing any GovGuam assistance. So, NASMA did charge us our 15,000 for dues this month. So that's our annual dues. But on the whole, we're actually doing quite well. If we look at what's happening with our applications, the processing summary, we're still a little bit, we're still bucking the trend nationwide, which is a decrease. Everybody else is showing a decrease to last year. We're showing an increase. But it's interesting to note that as of August, the FY21 and FY22 sections have kind of met now, so that 21, 22 was started out below, and it kind of came and was crossing here in terms of total sections, but in terms of the applicants themselves, well, this is the sections here, but in terms of applicants here, we've basically as of August, we met even with last year. But in terms of sections, I guess what I was going to say is we're below last year. So even though we've shown essentially being even with or a little bit higher than last year in terms of applicants, the sections per applicant have gone down. So it's down now to around 1.2. Originally, 2 years or before COVID, we were at 1.7, generally 1.7 or 1.8 sections per applicant. But since COVID and the reopening of the test center and all, we still have applicants. So, but the number of sections is per applicants going down. And when I look at it on an overall basis, what I'm finding is that we're getting the applicants, but more of them are re-exam applicants versus first-time applicants. So we're probably going to start seeing it even out in the next few months, because what's happening is the applicants we had in the system are retaking the tests they need. And as they pass or fall out of the system, there's just less new applicants. So it's gonna ultimately reduce. I can't really say how much right now because it's really hard to tell. We don't have enough data to know, but I think we're reaching a crossroad where we're going to start seeing ourselves maybe probably fall in line with the national decline per se. The only thing I can see that would offset that would be the fact that there are still a number of people out there that are going to want to pass the current exam so that they don't have to worry about the new exam and the new disciplines, etc. So I'm anticipating, like we saw before, I think it was 2010 and 11 before they introduced the big changes in the exam in 2011 or 12. We saw a real run up. So, I'm thinking that if we can maintain our existing trend of basically holding steady or above last year in terms of applicants, even though we might start catching up with the nationwide decline in the next couple of months over the going into the 2023, I think we're going to see a little bit of a buildup on people who want to pass the exam before January 2024. So hopefully that'll offset it and we'll still stay even or better than what we've done in the last couple of years, which puts us in a reasonably good position. So
Dave, where do most of our applicants take the test? Is there a trend for one of the
no,
sites?
now it's all over the place. Well, because
Japan.
because they've opened up, a lot of our applicants are Japanese and they test in Japan, but I was looking at some data I saw from the BOE report that shows that over the past year, when they opened up the Korea testing, they've actually had 3,000 people test in Korea, which those are people who would normally have tested here in our test center. So that's kind of where our Koreans went. The Japanese, of course, have been testing in Japan for a long time. The rest of our applicants, most of them are Far East, Middle East, and they're testing in, except for the Chinese, the Middle East. All of them are testing all over the place in India and other areas. So that's the crazy thing. We're getting the applicants, but we're not getting, of course, any revenue from the test center to speak of. It's down to about the Guam test center revenues for FY21, which I just put out the citizen centric report. I'll send it to everybody. I just posted it on the website earlier today. Shows that our Guam test center revenues for FY21 was 1% of our total revenues, as opposed to what it was originally, 5 years ago, being 48 to 60% of our total revenues. So we've come a long
Are they
ways.
thinking about closing or
No, the interesting thing is, well, they have the contract with Prometric for I think another year or so. So, and they, at least talking to Pat and Ken the couple times I have about it, they don't really want to close because they're using the people here to support their call center for their off hours when the states are down. And they're also using the people here to do some of the education evaluations that the NASBA NIES does. They're using some of the people here to do that also. So they don't really want, and I know they spent a fortune building the new office they're in just a year and a half ago or 2 years ago. So I know they've probably got at least another couple of years on that lease. So according to Pat, Ken's not interested at all in actually closing it down. He's just trying to see how he can make it more viable. But in terms of ramping up the the people testing here to our benefit. The only ones that would, I mean, it only seems to be at this point that it would be the Chinese, the Taiwanese, mainland China and Hong Kong, you know, who would want to be coming, although the Taiwanese can, I understand, can test in Japan. So they probably would want to go to Japan before they would come here for the test, even though a number of our Chinese candidates, Guam candidates that are Chinese are actually Taiwanese. They're not mainland China. So that's another interesting side of the thing.
Dave, I can't recall, did they, I mean, we were talking to Randy, or do we know how long their lease is? Did they extend their lease?
For the test center they have now.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm thinking originally, I was thinking that they signed maybe a 5-year lease or something like that. So, and you know, they do give other tests, and from the information I've seen, for instance, in the last quarter, they gave maybe 30 something sections of the CPA exam, but they gave a couple of hundred other tests, you know, different tests that Prometric, you know, gives outside of the CPA exam. So they are, you know, in that sense, operating the test center. They're not totally shut down. They're just not giving a lot of CPA exams because people aren't coming. The only the majority of the exam sections that they've given in the last year have been our local people and mostly some Taiwanese candidates that have come to take the test, and a few Koreans. So yeah, it remains to be seen. I know that we're looking at whether or not they would sign another contract, and I know Pat mentioned that they're now discussing their contract with the AICPA and Prometric. I think the three of them are all discussing what they're going to do with their contracts for the new exam, etc. So we'll probably know more once that gets sorted out among the three of them. So
okay, as long as the locals have a place to take the test.
Yeah, and I think we can ensure that one way or another. I mean, there's other ways we can ensure that, even if we have to do the exam in a box concept, you know, and do it several times a year or something. So, but I do know that the one thing that they were pursuing, which was the remote testing, is dead in the water. That's just totally not going to happen. They did. I think it was one of the CBT calls I was on recently, and Pat made it very clear that NASBA decided that Prometric could not make it secure enough to make it viable. So they've just killed it for now. So that's not an option.
Okay. Okay, good.
Okay. So that's all I have at this point. I'm leaving on October 16th to go to the AICPA council meeting, and then the NASBA meeting on the 28th, I think, John, 28th or 29th, something like that.
Okay.
So I'll be gone a couple of weeks and then be back. So
that's right. Did we move the board meeting in October to later the third week?
No, we canceled
No, we
canceled
we canceled it.
Yeah, we canceled the October meeting, and we're going to have the November meeting, so we moved everything to November. So
okay.
Okay. Let me stop
Good.
my share here.
I guess the floor is open for any other matters.
Move
Hey,
to
Dave,
adjourn?
Dave,
Sorry.
Sorry. Yeah. Just a quick question on the foreign applicants. Why do they select Guam versus some other jurisdiction? What's the attraction?
What, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, I don't know what happened. My screen has just kind of gone haywire here, but I don't know what, you guys disappeared. I'm looking at a blank screen, but anyway,
No,
as long as you can, as
I
long
see
as you can
everybody.
hear me, as long as you can
Yes.
hear me. The biggest attraction, I think, for us from a candidate, number one, a lot of the jurisdictions over the past few years have gone to requiring social security numbers.
Mhm.
So a lot of the places they used to go, they can't go. So they come to us because we don't require a U.S. social security number. We just require a passport, ID, etc. The other thing is that a number of the states also that didn't used to now, or things like that. And then I think one of the other things we've noticed is that we have a 20% of our candidates are in the pre-education completion program, which means they can sit before they complete their education. And you know, a lot of other jurisdictions say, well, it's 150 for licensure, but if you have 120 hours, you can sit. And that mostly means that they have to have completed their degree. So with us, we don't say that you have to have 120 hours. What we say is that you have to show us that you're enrolled in a program that will enable you to complete your 150 hours within the 18 months from the time you first sit for the exam. So, you know, anybody who still has a year to go or is going to get in the master's program or whatever and wants to sit for the exam while they take their review courses, etc., they can go ahead and do that. So I think we have a little bit, I think our program in that regard is a little bit better than a lot of the other jurisdictions that say you have to have 120 hours and specify other things. But one of the things I know is that just from talking with Pat is that the NASBA's International Education Evaluation arm, I guess, that's NIES.
Hello, Dave. Looks like Dave dropped out. Okay, well, I guess we can't talk because we're in the middle of a meeting.
I can take your motion though, if you want to adjourn, because I'm still here.
Oh, should we adjourn or no? I maybe we'll just wait for Dave a few minutes,
Okay.
maybe. He should come back. He's the tech guy. He should be quick. Anyway, just on that, I'm wondering, I think one of the other reasons why they like to come to Guam as an applicant is because I think we have that inactive license, right? You pass the exam and then you can get a CPA license, although it says inactive. And you know, so basically their CPA is just inactive. And I don't think all the states provide that. I'm not sure. So in other words, you could just pass the exam and get a license. Yeah, we can clarify with Dave.
Maybe his Wi-Fi drops or something.
Okay. Well, we'll just give him 60 more seconds. Let me see, what time is it?
Is anybody rolling off anytime soon, or everybody's appointment is for more than a year? Do we know?
I don't know. I think Arlene, do you know offhand?
The reappointments, you mean?
Yeah,
Yeah, and everybody was sort of like for 4 years, but I think a couple of you are going to have to be renewed, maybe not until next year, 2023. But I'm not at the office, so I'd have to, could let you know tomorrow when I go in.
yeah, just don't want to make sure nobody lapses.
No, I'm always checking it. I have it right in front of me. But I think Sean is for the duration, it's supposed to be the duration of Todd's, but I think his is also, it was made for 4 years, so
Yeah, I
I
think it's
have
a
to
few
double
years
check
out.
it.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody needs to be renewed until 2023.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think mine's 2023 also. I just can't recall when.
It's around July, I think. May or July. I'll check it tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's already been 2 minutes. So we'll just go ahead and adjourn. I think we're already at the end. And if anything is urgent, Dave would just send us something. But so can I hear a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Can I hear a second?
Second.
Second. Thank you, Francis. So meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone. So
Thank you.
again, no meeting next month. We'll meet in November.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Happy Halloween.
Oh,
everyone.
oh, wait, there's Dave.
Dave, that's really
Sorry,
crazy.
Dave. We just
So,
adjourned the meeting,
Yeah,
but so I guess you could just answer that last question. It's nothing important. It was more of why do they come here? When you were out, I said probably one of the reasons is because we have that inactive license where they can pass the exam and get a CPA license that's inactive. That might be one of the reasons also as well.
that's yeah. Sorry, guys. I don't know what happened. I kept getting meetings applications not responding, so I finally just had to close the thing and then restart it. So, yeah, I think that's one of the big things. I think the other thing is that the program we have that allows them to start taking the test before they complete their education. I think we have 20% of those, and I think that makes a difference too. The other jurisdictions that have that, say, oh, you have to have 120 hours, and meaning they have to have completed their degree, et cetera, et cetera. So we don't actually require them to have to complete the degree. They just have to be enrolled in a program that allows them to complete everything by the time they finish the exam. So yeah, but the inactive certificate I think makes a big difference. And what a lot of other jurisdictions do is they'll just send them a letter that says, "Oh, you passed the exam, congratulations." I thought about that, and we could do that, but the fact that we actually issue them an inactive license and treat them as a licensee gives us the authority to discipline them if they do anything or cancel their stuff. If they just take the exam and then we send them a letter and say, "Oh, you passed the exam," you have no authority to do anything. If they go out and say, "I'm a CPA," or use your letter to do whatever, you have no legal authority to do anything about it. The fact that we give them an inactive license and they become a quote licensee gives us the legal authority to actually discipline them if we find them doing something they shouldn't be doing. So I think that's the other side of that. I also know, I don't know if you heard me say, but I also know that NASBA's, the NIES that does a lot of the evaluations, they recommend to a lot of the candidates where to go based on their education, et cetera. And I know they recommend a lot of them to come to Guam for Guam candidates, also for being able to be licensed, So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, that's all I have. I guess I tried to stop sharing my screen and it went crazy. So it went to no screen.
That's
First
one
time,
way.
first time that's happened. So okay,
Okay.
anyway.
All right, Dave. I think the meeting's adjourned already.